give you guys a little background about my family. So, I come from a very loving family. Say so. We migrated to the United States. Me and my mom and my other siblings. My father's been there about 5 years before us. So we migrated, and my time in Nigeria, when we're still in Nigeria, we always any holiday we have it. We have to go to the extended family. My mother's side.
Mama Africa, your children are home.
My grandfather on my mother's side had 3 wives, and I don't know if you've seen one of my Nigerian vlogs. The household that they all lived in the same household, and it's like la casa madrigal, and everyone lived together. Their rooms facing each other, boom 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 boom. And it was about 20 something children that lived together in the same household, and they lived in peace and harmony. And right now they grew up and they're all one big loving family. Of course they'll fight here and there, but they always come back together, and they have parties. They come together to celebrate and do all this. So I had cousins. I had lots of cousins. We all we love each other. We always spend time in each other's households. And on my dad's side of the family, it's a little bit tricky. Then it's a bit harsh. My father is number seventh last born of 7 children. So all of the older siblings are a little bit picky on him, and they didn't really jive well with my mother. So all of the one they married into my father's side of the family, all of the siblings and their wives and all of that, and then the eldest sister, the eldest of them. Anyways, my point is, his side of the family we didn't really get along with, but on my mom's side we jive, we get along, we love each other so much. And let me just say that when I met Pablo, if you go and watch the first video, I just came back from Nigeria. So 2016, my sister's traditional wedding back in Nigeria. So I met a lot of my cousins, a lot of family members I hadn't seen 9 years before then. I hadn't gone home in 9 years. So it was a beautiful, beautiful reunion. Everyone had grown up, and they were all telling me, oh my gosh, your accent has changed, you've grown up. Oh, it was lovely. And here I was stuck in Midwest Indiana. Going back there, hey, depression left me so quickly. Just being with so many people I haven't seen in so long. It was amazing. And of course, my sister-in-law's side of the family also joined in the picture. So it was a big old family, and I've known them also for a long time, since we were growing up. So it was an amazing reunion. Now, coming from that, and then I came back to the US. I went back to my state in Indiana, and I didn't know anyone. I barely knew people, and it was just sad and gloomy, even though it was summertime. It was still over. But then I met Pablo, and oh yeah, so things were moving along until this family dynamic started happening. So for example, my mother, when we came to the US, and I lived there. Even when I lived with them in Louisiana, when I go to the university, she would still call me every day. She would call me, okay, are you on lunch? Are you okay? What is going on? And so they moved away. I finished my school, and when I finished, I also moved. I went to meet them, and then I finally eventually moved to Indiana, where I did my master's, and I stayed there. So when I was living there, they were in Chicago then. They would call me. My mother would call me every day. She would call me, and my sister too. My sister, we were very close until she got married, and she had her own family. She had a child almost right away, and she was very busy with all that. So I understand. But my parents, my father, my mother would call me every day when I was in school in Indiana. Even after I finished school, she always calls. She will ask. And again, Nigerians, they're how they tell you they love you is they ask you, have you eaten? So she would call me every day. So, have you eaten? She would say, have you eaten? What did you eat? And I would say, oh mama, don't worry, I've eaten, I'm okay, I'm doing well, And then she would tell me about her day, what's going on with I my little brother. tell me about whatever is going on. And once in a while, if my dad is there, I'll talk with him. And once in a a little bit more less frequently, but my father also calls me, ask. This is how my father would ask and to show how they love me. How is your car? Is it working well? Okay. Make sure you change the oil. Make sure you have petrol in it. Make sure, okay, you have AC in your house. You have heater. You know, he would ask about all of those things, and my mother would ask more about my inside. Are you eating? Are you doing well? How is the work? How is this and that? So this is how they show that they really, really care for me, and I really, really appreciate it. Actually, one time I was having maybe mid-semester exams in grad school, and they were like, I was studying in the house that day. They were like, so they were still in Chicago then. So are you going out today? And I was like, no, I'm at home. I have to study because on Monday I have exams. I think it was a Sunday or was it a Saturday? I think it was a Saturday. Or Sunday, I don't remember. Anyways, I said, okay, so you're at home. I said, yes, why are you asking? And before I know it, I think it was an hour later. This was about 4.5 drive from Chicago where they lived. It was somewhere in Illinois to Indiana where I lived. They drove up and knocked on my door. Go. I was like, no. I don't think they knocked. They just drove up and then they called me on the phone. We're downstairs. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you come here? You know, you didn't tell me you were coming. What if I wasn't home? But they brought jollof rice. They brought some food for me. I cried. I will admit, I cried when they left. Because I appreciated that kind of love so much. I was by myself. In Indiana, I didn't have any family. I didn't have anyone. I was getting very depressed. Yeah, and I was stressing about my exams. And they showed up and brought food. Stayed with me in my tiny one bedroom apartment. So they stayed with me for a little while, and then they left because they had to go back. The place is not big enough for them to stay overnight, or they had work the next day, one of those. So I really, really appreciated that, and I think, yeah, they brought my brother too. Oh, that really touched me. I remember crying when they left because then I was back again in my own one bedroom apartment by myself. I cherish that moment with them. And not too long after that, I graduated. And they all came. Now they've already moved back to Louisiana this time. They all came. They flew. They all flew there. They all showed up. And they celebrated with me. My sister came, my brother came, my sister brought my little nephew. My little nephew was just a few months old then. They all came, they celebrated. I was so happy. They were so proud of me, of my achievement. That's when I got my master's in public health. I loved that they showed up. I loved that they always showed up. You know, they always show up. They always show up. I mean, so no doubt in my heart will I know they truly care. They love me. They want the best for me. I know that. I mean, it can be a little too much sometimes. They can be like, okay, I want you to do it this way. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. This is what I want for my life. And, you know, it can be a little too much caring, but I know it's from a good place. A little, like they don't want to let their little girl spread her wings and fly because they love me so much. They just want to keep me for themselves. I know what it's like now that I have children. I know what it's like. But that's the type of family I came from. We've always been together. Rain or shine, whatever happens, we fight. my father and I, we do fight a lot. We argue, but at the end of the day, that I'm doing what is good. I'm just trying to do what is best is for your own good, for the best, something like that. No, it's because I care. It's because I love you so much. Yeah? You know. So that is that. That has been the type of family that I grew up in. And I am in communication with my cousins in Nigeria, and some of them they've spread around the world. Some are in North America, some are in Canada, UK, and all of that. So I was in communication with all of them. We're very close, and in fact, we even have a group chat with all of the descendants of my grandfather. So that my mom and all of those aunts and uncles and their children, all of my cousins, we're all in the same group chat. So we share ideas, we share, oh, someone's having a party and this and that. We support each other that way. So that's it, our family. So generally, what I've seen when it comes to marriages, even growing up, I've seen that it doesn't always work. But because of the societal pressure, the societal and religious norms and beliefs, I know that women have to endure. I know my mother always said, you have to endure. But my mother was also sort of in such similar situation. Like my father's side of the family were not too. Some of them are kind to her, but not all of them. A majority of them were very mean to her, especially early on. They fight a lot in their family. They don't really agree. They don't agree much. So she has been that. And I've also seen other type of marriages. I've only seen one marriage where the man considered the woman and they are very, very much equal and they love each other very much. The other marriages I've seen, it's more like I'm the head of the family. The man will say just sit around and expect food and treat the woman like a doormat, and the woman will cooking food, clean the house, taking care of the children. Yet the man will claim, oh, my child, when the child does well, that's my child. It doesn't do well, oh, so and so, mama, so and so. What is wrong with your child? Your child is misbehaving. Your child is doing this. I always put the blame on the woman if the child doesn't end up well the way they want the child to end up. So, and I've seen the dynamic. There's a lot of abuse and all these marriages, and they usually end up with a lot of strife in between them, and all for what? And I've seen that growing up. I didn't want that for me. I'm like, if this is what marriage is, I'm like, I don't want to get married. And heck, I don't want to have children because it seems like this is all what it has to be. Woman's work, just stay home, have babies, and that's it. That's what is actually setting a pace or a stage for how our marriage was going to look.